Did you know that the amount of sleep you're getting can affect your nighttime snack choices? On today's episode, we will look at why sleep duration can influence the size of our belts. I'm Jay, and this is Somnilopod. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you've had a good week of getting some exercise and walking at least 100 steps per minute. Talking about our challenge from last week. Last week's episode was about getting some exercise to help consolidate our nighttime sleep. So I challenged everyone to try to get at least 20 minutes of moderate exercise during the week to see how they go. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in the closing and see how we did. But this week I wanted to talk a little bit about snacking. Are you a nighttime snacker? I love a nighttime snack, probably more than I should. You know, you've had dinner, but do you find yourself still right before bed thinking, I need a little something? Well, there is actually some science behind that. Researchers from the Ohio State University recently took a look at almost 20,000 people between the ages of 20 and 60 years old, and they looked at them over an extended period of time from 2007 to 2018. And what they did, they looked at their sleeping and eating habits. And what they found was interesting. They found that people who get less sleep tend to make less than ideal food choices for nighttime snacks. They found that participants in the study opted for high-calorie, high-carbohydrate snacks when they go to bed, all the added sugar and added salt. They also found that they added calories through beverages, things like alcohol and sweetened beverages. Some of the snacks of choice were chips and bakery items. Those were some of the top contributors to their snacking choices. And one of the things the researchers point out is that poor sleep can affect our mood and our decision making and concentration, and that can all lead to unhealthy food choices. So the study goes to point out how sleep and eating patterns are linked together and often work to promote health. But there's more to this picture than just making poor choices. There have been dozens of epidemiological studies from around the world that looked at sleep deprivation and our body mass index. That's the number that our doctors use to determine how much fat we have on our body. We call it the BMI, so your doctor can probably let you know what your recent BMI is. Otherwise, you can look it up on the internet. There are some simple formulas to be able to find that. But what these studies from around the world have found is that there is an association between decreased obesity and increased sleep duration. So looking a little deeper into the situation, we find that when we go to sleep, there are a couple of hormones that can affect our hunger. There are two hormones in particular, leptin and ghrelin. Leptin is an appetite suppressant hormone that is produced from the adipose tissue in our bodies. And ghrelin is actually produced through the stomach in response to fasting. So it promotes feelings of hunger. Now, when we go to sleep, both of these chemicals are increased in our brain. However, the leptin tends to have a sort of a damping effect or a blunting effect on the ghrelin. So it keeps us from waking up at night feeling hungry and craving those snacks. But what we have found is that with sleep deprivation, those chemicals tend to be a little bit out of kilter. So the leptin isn't secreted as much. We see an increase in the amount of ghrelin, and that makes us feel hungry at night while we're awake. So we've seen that based on the studies that have been done around the globe, sleep deprivation can increase unhealthy food choices, and that can increase our weight. So we know that increased weight can have an influence on our sleep in a lot of different ways, specifically with regard to disorders like sleep apnea. As we get older and we gain weight, the likelihood of sleep apnea increases because the adipose tissue or the fat tissue in our throat can sometimes cause the airway to be a little smaller and increase the likelihood of it closing off due to sleep apnea. So it's important to keep an eye on that. So what can we do? So researchers recommend that you try to find healthy alternatives to some of the snacks that we're getting, specifically things that are high in protein. And high protein snacks tend to be the ones that make us feel full longer. So they recommend things like eggs, cheese, yogurt. I recently discovered Greek yogurt. I know, this late in life, and I just discovered Greek yogurt. It is yummy stuff. But a hard-boiled egg and some cheese at night before you go to bed if you feel like you need to have a little something. Maybe some nuts or a small piece of chicken or turkey. Something high in protein that can satisfy the needs of our ghrelin that is making us feel hungry at night can actually do the trick to get us sleeping a little more consistently. Ultimately, the best way to address the issue is to get more sleep because if you're not sleep deprived, then those chemicals tend to act like they're supposed to act and keep proper balance or the circadian rhythm for our eating habits balanced at night and during the day. But if you have to, feel like you need to snack, find a healthy choice. And since we are on a health kick, last week I challenged everybody to try to get at least 20 minutes of moderate exercise. Wonder how you did. I've already heard from some listeners. I myself didn't do so well. I'm sorry to tell you. I missed 2 out of my 3 days. I had a bit of a sinus attack one day and just couldn't stop sneezing and nose running and just wasn't able to get out that day. And then I ended up having to work late another day, so I didn't have time. Wonder how you did. Hope you at least everybody got one day in there where you were doing a little exercise, staying alive, using the music to get your 100 steps per minute. Let me know. Hit me up at j@somnilopod.com. You can also communicate to me through Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I want to see how you did. As always, I want to thank you for joining me. I hope this information is helpful to you. I think we can all benefit from some better snacking habits. Those of us that are going to snack may as well do it right. So please subscribe and follow me on your podcast service of choice. And until next time, please remember to try to make sleep a priority. Talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.